Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Soldiers of Cinema podcast. I am Cullen McFater, joined as always by Clark Coffey. How are you today?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to discuss our movie today, which
But
is
how
your
excited
choice.
are you?
Quite excited.
Scale
quite
of 1 to
excited.
10. Scale of 1 to 10. Colin, come on.
Let's say 9.
Well, let's see if we can get you to a 10 by the time we're done recording. But sorry to interrupt. You were going to tell our audience what film we're going to be discussing today.
Yes, we're going to broadcast this worldwide from the
Not
top
that
of
they haven't already seen the title, read the description. They know, but, hey, we got to go through the motions. So what was my pick this week, dude?
Your pick this week was John Carpenter's 1988
What?
epic.
80 what? Oh, it is 88. Yeah, oh
Yeah,
my
it's
gosh.
88.
It's 88. I was just going to bust your chops. I was going to be like, 88? What are you talking about, 88? You're right. I'm wrong.
They Live. They Live is
They Live.
The title of it. After our 1 minute preamble.
After our 1 minute preamble, I was totally going to bust your chops. I don't know why, but I had it in my head that it was like 86, and I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I had it in my head it was 86. Nope, yep, you're right. 88's John Carpenter's They Live.
Masters! What do these things want, and why are they here?
You still don't get it, do you, boy?
They have recruited the rich and the powerful.
They're running the whole show.
Wake up! They're all about you, all around you. Blinded us to the truth.
Take a look.
They are safe as long as they are not discovered.
I don't know what they are or where they came from, but we gotta stop them.
Stay away from me. Put these on. They have us. Look at them. They're everywhere. Our owners.
We have no other choice.
I don't like this one bit. Leave it alone, man. It ain't none of my business. Ain't none of yours.
We have been lulled into a trance.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. We're in trouble. The whole world's in trouble.
Control us.
You're sending some kind of signals out of TV sets.
I've got one that can see.
Mama don't like tattletale.
Now we start spilling some blood.
Let's go.
Push a button.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I know it's like I'm a broken record, but it's always like one of the more enjoyable aspects of our discussions about these films is the generation gap. I don't gap is almost a negative word, but it's the distance between us, right? That I'm kind of watching this film when it was released or very shortly thereafter, and especially this film, I think, as Carpenter has admitted that it was like a very specific reaction to a very specific point in time with Reagan in the United States. And so, of course, you weren't around in that time. Now, you're going to tell me in a second, I don't know how old you were and what year it was when you first saw it, but you definitely didn't see it in the United States. And you definitely didn't see it when it was first released. So,
And I didn't see it when Reagan was president.
and
either.
you didn't see it when Reagan was president. And although you would have been impacted by Reagan's politics and policies, he was never your president. So I'm super curious about your personal experience, the first time that you saw the film, and now watching it for the podcast. So.
Yeah, I think I've seen this. I think I've only seen it 3 times.
Okay.
I honestly don't really remember the first time I watched it. I was in high school. I know that.
Yeah.
But
so
I don't
you didn't go out of
really-
your way, right? So if you don't remember the first time, it wasn't like you went to the video store and you were like,
No,
I'm
yeah.
gonna. It was like on cable TV or something.
I think it was. It was like on AMC or something.
Okay,
or
yeah.
Spike or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I watched. I remember, and it was early high school. I was probably only in grade 9.
Okay.
I remember I liked it. It's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's got Roddy Piper, wrestler, and all that. And,
Who is Canadian?
yeah, Saskatoon.
There you go.
And he's great in it. Keith David's great in it.
Yeah. Keith is really
I
great.
think I actually might have watched it with a friend because Keith David also has done a lot of voice acting, and he's in a video game series called Mass Effect, which I and a few friends were really
you're
into
right.
in middle school and stuff.
I
And so
totally
think,
forgot about that. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. He is in the Mass Effect series, and he's great. I mean, he has such a wonderful voice.
Yes, yeah, and I think that might have been one of the connections that I watched it for back then. That I saw it and was like, oh, I know
Yeah.
Keith David is. But yeah, and then I actually coincidentally I watched it almost just exactly a year ago. I rewatched it January of last year. Yeah, you know, I love the satire. I love political satire, and I love. And I know you had mentioned earlier on that it is kind of satirizing or is an indictment of kind of like the Reaganomics and all that and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also quite, I find, relevant still to this day.
Oh,
and
yeah. We're going to
those
get to
details.
that. I don't
But,
want you to jump ahead too fast. I'm going to slow you down.
Yes.
I want to slow you
Yeah,
down.
no, I'm not going to get into the details, but it is, yeah.
Well, because I want to force you to, or try to kind of like stimulate your memory for some more details. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you're about ninth grade or so, and I think that's probably about how old I was when I saw it too, because it would have come out in
about
'88.
14,
I would have been 12. I didn't see it at the theater. I don't have a memory of seeing it in the theater. So I probably saw it on. I'm almost certain I rented it on VHS when it came out. So that would have been maybe '89 or '90. So I think the first time we saw this film, we were almost exactly the same age, even though we were in different decades. But
Yeah.
I want to try to put yourself back in that time. And I say you said you don't have a great memory of it. Are there any memories, like specific memories that you have? Did it seem cheesy? Was it cool? Did you laugh at it? Were you kind of like, did it kind of, were you impressed by its perspective? Did you think it was naive and cheesy? Like, do you have any kind of memories like that? Were you like, whoa, oh wow, like, advertising is like subliminal messages. I mean, did any of that, like, do you remember any of your takes on any of that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that those things were all, growing up with the internet, that those things had sort of like
come and gone. Like you were like,
yeah,
duh.
I had learned sort of all about that.
Yeah, okay.
But I remember I loved the one-liners. I thought it was like great for that.
Yeah.
And I just the chew bubblegum and kick ass. I'm like, that's such a great line.
No, I mean,
we used to always say that to each other at school.
Me too.
Stuff,
every kid.
So that was kind of one of those things that it was like, it wasn't super groundbreaking to me, just because a lot of those conversations were so
so commonplace.
There was so much discourse about it online and things like that. Like,
I find that so intriguing. And these are things that I think are really fun to explore. How the exact same film can mean such different things in different times. Now, obviously, like every viewer is going to have a slightly different or potentially radically different experience watching a film. Duh. But it's really interesting to just kind of explore how the changing times also impacts films. Because, it's like I was talking to my wife like a week or so ago, and, and we were kind of talking about how I always prefer to watch older films. Not always, but I would say the vast majority of the time I spend watching films is admittedly looking backwards, as opposed to like watching things that are in the present. And and my wife was kind of questioning me about that, and I was like, well, I thought about it for a minute, and I could give many reasons why that's true for me, but one of them is that I feel like cinema is about as close as we can get to time travel, right?
Yeah.
Now you can't go forward. Well, sometimes. I mean, maybe in a fictional
There's some
sense
good
with science
predictions,
fiction. Yeah. But it's like this. They're time capsules. Every film is a time capsule of its era in some way. And it's, in the literal sense, you can like watch and listen to people who have long passed away. You're watching different fashion, different culture, different. I mean, it's just, it's like, and I'm so endlessly entertained by that kind of time capsule quality of films. And it's just amazing to me to kind of compare and contrast where we are today and these little slices of time, these perfect little slices of time in the past. And So it's so interesting. So you watch this film, you've grown up with the internet. Of course, when I saw this film, a regular person would not have had any access to the internet. I didn't have access to the internet until I think probably 94, I guess, would have been 95, 94, when I was a freshman in college is when I would have first started to have access to the internet. And then it was like FTTP Gopher, like almost no images. There wasn't any kind of very limited search functionality. There was, it was not graphics based, you know what I mean? It was just super rudimentary. Like Netscape had just come out. And so these kind of things to the average person back then was not, you wouldn't see this all over the place. And admittedly, I was young when I saw it, but I was blown away. Personally, like, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
I was like, and I feel like the film is so simplistic that it does really work at that young age. I mean, so let's jump forward then. So did you rewatch it recently for the podcast then?
Yes, yeah. So I watched it last night.
And then what's your thought now as a young adult, 2020, what is it, 2023? Jeez. Like, what were your thoughts now about what the construction of the film, the quality of the film, the watchability, what it says? Like, what were your thoughts now then?
Yeah, well, one thing I will quickly add about my childhood too was that, so like I just thought of this, that because we were talking about Reagan and things like that. Well, because I was, I grew up during, I'm not American, but I grew up during the Bush years, the Bush Jr.
Okay.
And so when
Wait,
things,
W?
W, yeah.
Yeah, we call him W down here in the States.
Yeah, okay.
You call him Junior up there in Canada?
W.
That's much more.
He's
That's
got
much more
many different
respectful.
names.
That's much more respectful. Okay.
But we so I, the Patriot Act and things like that. And,
right.
And the kind of insanity of that decade, the 2000s to 2010, which never really ended. But so growing up during that, again, I think that was sort of my link into it was seeing all that sort of stuff.
That was the context, yeah.
Ultimately, again, also when we talk about things like Reaganomics, they ultimately continued.
Yes,
continued
to this day.
In a lot of ways to this day. So,
yes.
So all the things about consumerism and
materialism,
keep sleeping because you're exactly.
Yeah.
It's all still quite there. But so yeah, in terms of my kind of a year ago and then today, I kind of had very similar reactions watching it.
Yeah.
Which is that I love the first act.
Uh-huh.
And I like the movie a lot. I mean,
which is slower than I remember it.
Yeah. So it takes him longer to get. Yeah.
I mean, it's like actually a pretty meandering film there, and it which is because basically our lead character, which I love, his name is Nada, and I don't think we ever hear his name spoken in the film. No, it's just
credited. Yeah.
But in the credits, his name is Nada, which I think is pulled from the short story and the graphic novel that Carpenter bought and used roughly to write the script from. But Nada, Roddy Piper's character, is kind of meandering and wandering. Yes. He's like this day laborer, and he's just walking kind of from place to place in LA. But it's much slower than I remember.
Yeah, and so I think that's I think if there was one major complaint I had about the movie, it's and I felt this when I watched it last year, and I felt it last night as well. But the thing that I always find is that it's got this great build up. It's got this great kind of like peeling back the layers of like, okay, what's going on in this church? Oh, it's a tape recording. What's with these transmissions? Blah blah blah.
Right. Good
and
setup.
Then he gets the glasses.
Yep.
And I think it's like within like 3 minutes of putting on the glasses, he's at the bank shooting up the bank.
People away.
And it suddenly moves at light speed, and then it just stops. And I find that it's almost like, because they did what, I don't know why they did it so fast, but they do that sequence of him putting on the glasses and figuring everything out so quickly that the next like 30 minutes of the movie, it feels like they don't really know what to do with it. And it kind of like drops off for a minute, and it's like, okay, he goes to...
I got to agree. Agree.
So it's kind of oddly, like, I don't know what maybe it was just a matter of writing. I don't know if there was an
well, it's definitely in the writing. It's definitely in the writing. And so, it is an extremely simple film. So first, the story, it makes sense that this comes from a short film or kind of like a short, it wasn't like, I don't think this graphic novel was like a 200-page, it was like a...
No, I think it was in a magazine.
It was like literally like a short comic that was in an anthology of other comics or in a magazine or something. So, I mean, what you've got here is really a concept, right? You have a concept. It's, we're living in the aliens have infiltrated humanity and they've taken over in the highest positions. And there's a tiny rebellion, a group that has accidentally stumbled upon a way to see them with these specially formulated glasses. And it shows you all, you can see through all the subliminal messaging and programming that's being beamed down. And it's a great setup. It's a really fun setup. And I think especially back then, and it really harkens back to, I think, the 50s alien films, kind of these paranoia, body snatcher, the day the Earth stood still, kind of Twilight Zone. I mean, these wonderful 50s genre B pictures. There's a kind of like a combination of science fiction and horror. They were wonderful. And then we kind of get to a place, especially in the 70s and 80s, where aliens are happy and they're helping us, Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T., so Spielberg has a big role in this. And now we have like happy, lovable, well-intended aliens. And so I like that Carpenter goes back to using aliens as to kind of represent some nastiness in humanity. But yeah, I mean, I think the concept's great, but the story that we move that kind of flows forth from that concept's pretty thin. I mean,
and it's interesting also because like the aliens are for the most part sort of like not benevolent, but they're like they say, where it's like we're their third world, and so you just kind of have like you don't have obviously. Yeah, and so you don't have this, I am Zolord and I'm, grinding up humans and putting them into Soylent Green and all that, or Soylent Green.
Yeah.
But you don't have anything like that. You just kind of have this like, the second half of the movie is just kind of them running into different places with machine guns and like.
Well, let's talk. I want to talk about that because it's we've got this great setup. Let's walk through it. So we take our time. So we it's great. I mean, right? We open up on a beautifully photographed Los Angeles in the 80s.
Yeah.
And the mid to late 80s, which I think, and the photography I think looks great in these landscapes, in these urban landscapes. So I think it's by far and away the best photography of the film. Once we get into interiors, I think it really, the budget constraints really show. But we've got this really beautiful photography, and we're introduced to our main character, and I think Rowdy Piper does a great job representing it in every man. And he's just on the move. We don't know what happened to him, but here he is. And we really quickly find out, that work's hard to come by, that poverty is prevalent, that, we get it really quick. And he's trying to find work, and he lands on a construction site. He meets Keith David's character, and Keith is just fantastic in this. And Keith takes him to basically like an encampment, like a tent city, and which interestingly, of course, in Los Angeles are extremely prevalent now, and in many cities, most if not all cities in the United States now, this is extremely prevalent. So speaking of still having relevance today, wow, I mean, if you went to LA today, you would see encampments like that. Absolutely. And then
under the freeways and all that.
Under the freeways, and then we've got him. There's the church across the street, and he's kind of like, what's going on at the church? And we've got this preacher outside, and we're kind of starting to hint that maybe there's a little bit of a resistance there. What's going on? And it piques not his interest. And
the police are always kind of harassing the priest guy too.
Right, sure. And I love that you've got, and honestly, I think maybe my favorite performance in the film is actually George Buck Flower, who plays that drifter. And, so there's an, evening where they're sitting around watching TV at the encampment, and the broadcast is interrupted, right? There's like a pirate broadcast that has interrupted. And, so this is where we first kind of get this, okay, whoa, there's like a resistance for something, and they're talking about, interrupting the transmission and, they're beaming, so we kind of get a little bit of a hint of that. And I think this setup is great, right? This is like,
setup's fantastic. Yeah.
The setup is fantastic. We're being like, slowly introduced to this world, slowly introduced to these characters, which is totally relatable. And then I think, once, Nada goes into the church, he kind of discovers the glasses. He's like, really? This is what it was all about? Because the encampment gets attacked, like helicopters and bulldozers, and they level the encampment.
Police raid on the church and all that.
They run everybody out. They burn the church out. I mean, it's this, just like huge, practically like military operation where they devastate the whole area, right? And Rowdy's character, Nada's like, what in the heck? All of this was for what? And so he goes back and he grabs a box and he opens them up, and they're sunglasses.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like, I love all of that, right? I love that. I love, and now it's easy to take for granted now, but if you had never seen the film, right, and you didn't know what it was about, and you're watching it, you've got this really great, realistic, grounded buildup. And you've got the box that everybody's fussing over is filled with sunglasses. I mean, to me, I love that.
Well, it's like one of those great, it reminds me of when they open the Ark in Raiders and it's just sand.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
But then you're right. And then we have a big shift. We have a big shift in pacing, and it doesn't always work great for the film, I don't think. And, he puts on the glasses, and he has, and I think it's a really fun scene. I mean, the scene itself where he's kind of discovering, right? He puts on the glasses.
Oh, it's great.
And the billboards and magazines and product labels and everything.
And he starts insulting them and all.
And it takes him a minute. I mean, he's like, what, and you've got these really beautiful matte paintings of the entire city and billboards, and they go to black and white to kind of illustrate you're looking through the glasses. And I think all of that's done.
It's very stark,
really well. I mean, especially at the budget, right? It's done really well. And again, easy to take for granted now. But I think, if you put yourself back then, pre-internet, you're watching this, it was kind of like an aha moment. You're like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, it just works so well as a visual concept. And they execute it so well. But then it's like, we go from that to like he's shooting police officers. He like goes into a bank and starts blowing people away. Now, not people, the aliens. So let's be clear. He never like shoots at a human, but goes into the grocery store and he's like insulting the aliens who look like humans to everybody else.
Where the greatest line in the movie is.
Yeah. Go ahead, give it to us.
Well, he goes in and says, "I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass,
in the
and
bank.
I'm all out of bubblegum."
In the bank, right.
Yeah, and I love, but that's what's funny is that line always appeared in in the early days of YouTube when it was just like top 10 badass movie lines and stuff like that. And they were all this Microsoft with like movie maker, blue background with the white text, and those were always in it. And so I think before I'd ever seen it, I always expected that to be like the big climax of the movie. And then when you see it for the first time and knowing that scene is in the movie, you're kind of like, whoa, this is early. Like this really happens.
Yeah, this is just like beginning of second act. Yeah. But a fun little piece of trivia. I actually didn't know this until I listened to the commentary track that Roddy Piper actually ad-libbed that line. That's his. He wrote it. So Carpenter.
I mean, that makes sense because like those wrestlers all had great. They all had their fantastic little canned lines, right?
Well, I think that was actually, if I'm not mistaken, that's actually kind of how that worked. I mean, when Carpenter was working with Piper in preparation for the role, Piper was like, hey, I've got like all these, as part of my wrestling, right? I've got all these lines I've been writing down. I got like this notebook of just, of all these great lines. And he shared them with Carpenter, and that one stood out. And Carpenter's like, oh yeah, that's great. Like you got to use that.
Yeah.
Let's use that. That's wonderful. So
and he does a few more too. Like they're all sprinkled throughout the movie, and they're all great.
And also too, like just for younger audiences, or if it wasn't your cup of tea, the genre of films in the 80s. I mean, the 80s, this was like the decade for like action one-liners, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's what made Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sly Stone and like, all these huge movie stars, all these action movies, like that's just like that was the style then. It was like you had these great one-liners, and that's just how films were back then.
Yeah. No, and it's great. And Roddy Piper is like fantastic. I mean, he's so good in this.
Can you
along
even
with
think
Pete
of a
David,
film
but
like? Do they still do that? Are one-liners even really a thing that movies
outside
do?
of like James Bond? Not really, but that's also just because James Bond that's his shtick, right?
Well, he's got the one line kind of, right? He's got,
Yeah.
I mean, they always kind of like pay homage to Bond films past by trying to do like Shaken Not Stirred or Bond.
Or
James
if
Bond.
someone gets electrocuted, it's shocking.
Do they even do that though? Do they still?
They do a
that?
little bit. I mean,
Okay.
the Craig era really pulled it back. But,
Yeah, because that's what I
They
thought.
still do kind of like lean into them sometimes and do a little
Yeah,
way,
but it's kind of
but,
gone to the wayside, right? Like doing
yeah,
one-liners has kind of gone to the wayside, and it is.
But
it is a
I-
sadness.
yeah, and I do think it's funny though, just with this movie, like you were saying before, was that if you compare this to say another kind of like The World Is Not As It Seems kind of fun movie like that, like The Matrix, for example.
Well, I think that this kind of informs The Matrix, right?
Yes, yeah.
This
But you look at that, you look at the way that The Matrix kind of paces itself. And it's like, so there's this, very similar in terms of like a first act. You've got a completely naive main character who is kind of brought into this resistance, and the resistance is very clearly outgunned and outmanned, and they're very small. And you kind of reveal all these things about the world, and like, okay, this is what the world really looks like, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of have this reveal. What I think the reason that this movie feels sort of oddly paced and oddly structured is because, The Matrix kind of takes the more traditional route, which is that you've got like the Campbell journey of the hero's journey, where you've got like kind of this initial refusal, and then you've got to learn how to take this world on. You've got to learn all this stuff, and then you come back for the big third act, climax. Whereas what this movie does is it kind of skips all the refusal. Like he puts on the sunglasses and just immediately starts blowing people. Well, not obviously immediately.
I mean, well,
funny
pretty,
little
no,
bits
but
where he's
pretty
in
darn
there.
close. Pretty darn
But
close.
exactly, it's like I do think it's about. I think I timed it last night. It's like 3.5 minutes between the first
literally-
time he puts the sunglasses on and he's
to
in
shooting
the bank.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally goes right. It's like puts on the glasses. He kind of we only spend a minute kind of letting the audience and him experience like, well, not only are these subliminal messages, but there are aliens. There's like, look like humans to everybody else, but they're alien or something. I mean, they don't even know if they say aliens. You don't confirm that until we get to the transport room. But okay, something. And then it's like, boom, now he's in a supermarket, right? And he's like, he's ridiculing an alien woman who happens to look like a really wealthy woman.
You're all right. This one
is, oh my God. And his
one.
lines, what were his lines? It's like, this one looks like her head fell into the cheese dip in 1950s or something.
Yeah. Formaldehyde face.
Formaldehyde face.
No, it's so good.
Dude, when you're a 12-year-old boy in the 80s, like, it just doesn't get better than formaldehyde face. Like, it just doesn't. But then, and then this is when we kind of learned that the wristwatches are, that they wear are kind of communication and then / teleport devices. So she phones him in, she's like, we got one who can see. And then the next thing you know, right?
He's blasting people away.
But
because the first thing that happens is the cops corner him in the alley.
Now, does he go into the bank? Refresh my memory. Does he go into the bank before the police or after?
No, because he gets the shotgun from the police car.
That's right.
And then he goes in the bank.
That's
so he
right.
kind of loads
So
up with all the stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So she called the lady, the wealthy alien in the supermarket calls in the cops. The cops come in. Of course, they're aliens. He can see him now. Right. They're going to take him in. Nope. He's not having it. Boom. Punches him out, grabs the pistol, kills both of them, presumably. We assume they're killed. Because he even, it's like, we have a little exposition there. It's like, oh, they died just like humans,
Yeah.
And then now we're off and running,
Yeah,
We're
but
off
that's
to the races.
what's odd, though, is that it goes, the bank scene happens, and then he flees, and there's kind of a little bit more action.
Well,
and
he
then
goes to
meets
the
up
woman's
with-
house, right?
And then it just kind of, again, it's like suddenly it's
weird
meandering
pacing.
again.
Well,
like it's like it goes from that to then he's in the woman's house. They have this long conversation, and then there's a little bit of action again when she pushes him out the window. But then he meets up with Roddy Piper.
Yep.
Or not right? Sorry, Keith David.
He meets back up. He meets back now, and then So let's back up for a couple things. One, I mean, it does. It feels like going to the producer. I think isn't she a producer? Meg Foster's character, Holly Thompson,
like a television.
Is like a television producer, right? So okay, she represents the mass media, right? But she's human, and so Nada thinks, okay, maybe this is an in. She's not one of them. She's in the media, and wow, Meg Foster's eyes are almost a special effect in and of themselves. They are so distinct.
Are they contacts or what?
They are not. Those are her real eyes.
Okay.
They are some of the most pale blue eyes you will ever see on a human being. And it does. I mean, literally, it does. It looks like
they're like turquoise almost. Yeah.
It is really distinctive, and which was a really interesting casting choice, I think, because it's like she's not an alien, right? She is human in the film, but it's almost like her eyes make her alien in a way.
She kind of looks like she's being altered in some form, right? Like it kind of gives her this feeling.
It does,
like,
and then this was not, to my understanding, this wasn't on purpose. But in the commentary track or some making of doc, I forget exactly what it was I saw. I think it was in a making of doc. I think it was the DP talks about Gary. Is it Kibbe or Kib? The DP talks about how super low budget. We're talking about a $3 to $4 million movie here. They don't have a ton of time. How Meg Foster's makeup was done in a way that affected the color timing. It threw things off. And so that she had like a green tint, and he didn't go into details about it, exactly how this came to pass. But in a nutshell, they had to try to time her specifically in her shots to remove the green tint from her face. So if you look at the film closely, her makeup does look strange. She almost looks like too pale. Like the makeup isn't properly tonally matched to her skin tone. So she has like this strange makeup thing going on, plus these really, abnormally pale blue eyes. And it just gives her, such a distinct, strange look. She almost does look alien, like she's been snatched, by the body snatchers in a way. But yeah, she tosses him out the I love it.
She pushes him out the window.
She just throws him out the window. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just be moving on.
And now, one thing that I am always trying to figure out the intention of is because she calls the police after she throws him out the window. Is the implication there that we are supposed to know that she's bad when she shows up at the?
See, I don't think we are. So I don't.
Like we're supposed to think that she's turned again, like that when she shows up at the meeting, that she's like, kind of like, okay, you know what I am, and okay. I was always a little bit confused as to whether or not she's supposed to be like we're supposed to be like, is she? No, she's here. No,
I think it's supposed to be a shock whenever she ends up turning, like full blown. But yes, I think that's the idea, right? And of course, kind of thematically, Carpenter is saying, well, look, it's like, the regular person can be co-opted by the powerful and used as their tool, even though they themselves are not the in-group, that you can be co-opted. You can be
the scabs.
Right. Exactly. But you're right. It's just, so now it's like within an instant, he's a fugitive from the law. He's killed aliens. He's, then he gets back to Keith David, his character, Frank Armitage. And then you've got, in its time, in that era, one of the most like celebrated, awesome, like 5.5 minute long fist fights in any movie ever. Yeah.
It's like it just keeps. It's like not even in a bad way, but it just
comedically.
I love how the amount of times that they're like on the ground out of breath, and then they get up and they sort of say a few words to each other, and then just keep fighting, and it's like it's such a great laugh, and it's very clearly intentionally, it's funny in that way. But
I feel like it's one of the bright spots of the film for sure. Along with kind of the concept in general, it's such a bright spot. I think both actors are fantastic. If you're a wrestling fan. If you know anything about it, to have Piper's character Nada kind of do some wrestling moves and kind of put that into the performance, I think is a really fun homage and a nod to his real life experience, or his other character, I guess you could say, right? His other character as a wrestler. But back then, I mean, it was like, there's no kung fu, there's no fancy moves, it's just like a 5.5 minute long fist fight. And
it's just brutal.
Just brutal.
And one of my favorite parts in it is when he swings the 2x4 at the car window, and then is like,
I was
hey,
like, oh, I'm so
man.
sorry.
It's great.
Well,
and then Keith David smashes the glass or the glass bottle, and it completely breaks, and then Roddy Piper just laughs at him. It's great.
I think that's what gives what makes that fight so fun. I mean, one, it's so over the top in its duration, and so it's almost kind of like making fun of action films of its era, right? That would have been contemporary in that moment. But I think you have two actors, two characters that they don't really want to beat each other up. It's and I think it's a really fun twist on this. Nada is trying to help Frank. Like, I
just
have
put
to
on the sunglasses.
I have to show you this. And, from kind of like a thematic kind of narrative perspective, it does a great job of kind of illustrating how hard that can be to wake somebody up out of kind of a delusion, right? That you almost have to like smack some sense into them sometimes to kind of stop them for a minute and take a beat and realize, holy crap, you've kind of been living in this delusion. So I think it works thematically really well. I think it's acted and performed really well. And even the choreography, although it's quote unquote a simple fight and that it isn't kung fu or,
Yeah, there's no backflips and,
it's still so well done.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
It's so well done. So that's what I mean. And
it kind of leans into it too. Like, it's so great that even in the moments when you can see them, tossing each other on the ground, and you definitely can see the mats that are making up the room. It's like still,
you don't care.
There's such a charm to it. Yeah, exactly.
You absolutely don't care. Yeah. But then of course, finally, Nada wins out. Frank puts on the glasses. And now it's like Frank is just as quickly like he's in it too, Yeah. And it's like we hear that Frank has a family.
Then you never hear about them again.
But then it's not like, oh crap, I need to go home and be with my family or save my kids or do it. It's just like nope. All right, boom, we're in it. It's like the film does not waste any time with nuance or complexity. That is for sure.
and that's like kind of the
charm.
It just is so simple and kind of knows exactly where it wants to go.
And it's going to go there come hell or high water. It's like, I don't care if it doesn't make sense. I don't care if this is,
and it's not, I mean, what is it's only an hour and 30, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty much on the dot.
Yeah.
So and then of course you get I always love how you've got this revolutionary meeting that they have, and there's like the.
It's so awesome that they go. How is it? Isn't it that they're able to obtain one of the teleportation watch things, the portal creating watches, right? So, and now it's like they get some contact lenses, so they don't have to wear glasses anymore. Now they just now we no longer have to worry about it. Kind of. From a logistic, practical standpoint, now they no longer have to.
The glasses.
They no longer have to, cover their face with sunglasses for the film. We can see their eyes. They've got contacts in. I always thought that was kind of funny. It's like, okay, crap. We've written ourselves into a corner where we have to have our characters cover their eyes when they're on camera all the time. Oh, wait a minute. Let's give them contacts. I mean, I love it, and so they go to like what the quote unquote the smoke-filled room where all of the rich and powerful are deciding the fate of everyone else. And
it looks like one of those White House correspondence dinners.
100%. It looks like a White House correspondence dinner. Like you couldn't have said it better. And I love how these guys just walking around, like nobody says anything.
In their plaid shirts,
filthy.
and all that,
They're
jeans,
filthy.
yeah.
They're like they have like these flannel shirts and like Carhartt pants, and aren't they still carrying like rifles or something at this point, like assault rifles? I can't remember
if they've got the assault rifles or if they've just got the pistols, but they're definitely they're armed.
They're armed for
without a
sure,
doubt,
and it's like, hey, these aliens, they can traverse the expanses of time and space and the universe. But they can't tell if a couple dudes with guns are like just walking around right under their nose. I love that. And then we learn, like, one of the things that I think is actually quite charming and pretty fun little point in the movie, especially you go all the way back to the mid 80s, is that we learned that the aliens are actually purposely changing the climate of Earth. So global warming is specifically to make the climate of Earth more habitable,
adaptable to them.
To them. I was like, I had forgotten that from whenever I had, originally seen it. As a kid, I just didn't even, kind of register. But I was like, oh, that's cute. I like that little touch. This film's like a little ahead of its time, Well,
and again, I love how benign it all is too. That again, like they're like, hey, you guys made it in too. And it's like, hey, it's just business. We're not trying to we're not ripping you apart. We're just commodifying you.
That's George Buck Flower again, right? So he's been co-opted now. And you talked about the Matrix earlier, right? We have this exact character in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Right? And we've got this scene where he's eating a steak and he's like, I know it's not real, but this is, I
want to forget.
I just like, this is, and so here we've got the character of the Drifter. We see him, he's, watching TV, he's in the homeless encampment, and now he's like dressed up, looking great, his hair's spiffy, and he's like, hey, it's just business, man. It's like, don't you want to be on the winning team? I mean, this is great. Let me show you guys around.
And just revealing everything to them.
He's like, hey, this is where the aliens go back and forth to their home planet, man. Check that out. Hey, look at that. The film is made with like I do not mean this in a negative way, but there is almost like this naivete, this like level of simplicity, where that you have to be charmed by it. Like, I feel like you just have to be charmed by it.
And that's what's so funny is that not that it drops the satire in the like third act kind of big climactic action scene, but it really, by the time they're running through that building, blasting everyone away, all the guards are chasing them. It could be about anything at that point. Like the only thing that matters is that there's something they've got to destroy on the roof, and that's like there's no more like political satire really, and it's just kind of they're just
blowing
their whole
people
goal
away.
is just to get exactly.
Well, and that's what I mean is that if so when I was watching it last night, and like I said, it had been quite a while since I'd seen it. I started to think about how differently this subject matter would be approached today, and I imagine now it's like if you had this concept. It wouldn't be a movie. It would be a TV series. It'd be some kind of streaming series, right? And you'd have a minimum of like 10 hours. And, you would spend the first, like, at least the entire first episode, an hour just getting to the point where you might start to reveal the whole gist, which is that there's an alien life that has invaded the higher rankings of humans and is, spreading subliminal messages. It would take at least an episode, maybe 3 or 4, right? You got to have like a whole host of like there'd be an ensemble cast, be like 5 or 6
You'd
or 7.
You'd have to introduce all of them.
You'd introduce, and they'd be like all spread around the world. There'd be like a family in Indiana. There'd be like a businesswoman in India. There'd be a, you know what I mean? And each person would be like stumbling upon a different piece of the, puzzle.
And it would be really, really self-serious.
And it would be super, and it would be super serious, and it'd be super nuanced, and it would be like, every tiny little, it just, it would go on.
Well, it's funny because there's actually a similar, that's like an act. I don't know if you ever, I didn't finish it because I didn't like it much, but the show that was on Amazon called, it was the Man in the High Castle.
I did not finish it. I started it and I lasted like an episode or two.
Yeah. But it's exactly what you're talking about, where it's like you've got this it's Philip K. Dick, very fascinating and intriguing.
Yep. high
plot,
concept, a high concept.
It's about the Axis powers won World War II, and they're taking over and all that, or not taking over. They have taken over. They run the world.
They won,
but then you of course find out that there's this kind of like alternate dimension element to it where they discover. But exactly, it takes like 4 episodes to get there,
and it just
like
keeps,
the first 3 episodes are just I'm here with my family, we're struggling, and we've got to get to this other town via this car,
milking it.
Okay, and now we're gonna find out a very slight
it.
secret about it, and it's like, what does this tape mean? And it's always ending on a cliffhanger. Whereas this movie throws out all of that. Of course, it's not a television show, but
But I think it really illustrates though, like a difference in kind of how people create and consume stories. And I don't think, I think that we got up our own butts in some ways about how we tell stories in this industry. So, we have like the quote unquote, the second like coming of television, right? That was ushered in with Mad Men, Sopranos, The Wire, Mad Men, Breaking Bad. We have this, the kind of like second golden era. And I feel like, that those shows were wonderful, right? All of those shows were fantastic. And, but I think we have gone so far to the other side where now we have, like the way we're describing, it's like, there's a couple episodes now released on HBO based on a video game by Sony.
Oh, The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. Okay. Yeah. And it's the same kind of thing. It's a high concept. It's zombies. It's zombies this time with fungus. Okay, so a fungus has invaded the world and has taken over, decimated the human civilization, and is controlling people turned them into zombies with fungus. Okay, fine. And now I've watched the first 2 episodes. And I don't know if I'm going to watch any more because by the end of the second episode, I'm just like, they are milking every
I watched the first 2 as well,
and I'm just like, there's only so much story here, guys. More is not always better.
The entire second episode is them, I think, making it about 100 feet.
Yeah, literally. I mean, if we keep going this direction, we're going to have like an entire hour-long episode about somebody getting out of bed and going to take a piss in the bathroom. I mean, it's, what I love about cinema, about film, is that it demands an efficiency and compactness of storytelling. Now, I'm not saying I don't like TV. There are many television shows that I love, but I think sometimes we have just gone too dang far.
Well, and the television shows that I love are the ones that really lean into the fact that they're television. I think that's the thing about. I know we're getting a little bit off topic here, but I know that's the thing about a lot of things. Like The Last of Us or The Man in High Castle, where it's like they almost want to be movies over 10 episodes.
That's what it wants.
So they're stretching out
every little moment.
And so it's like, rather than something, I love the X-Files, and the X-Files is so cheesy and so silly, and because they're one and dones, you've got to, they've got 40 minutes to get an entire 3-act structure out, and so they're
it's an efficiency.
That's why I like that.
It's an efficiency of storytelling. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing too that I think is kind of funny is, we of course compared this to the first Matrix. I almost find too that the like composure and the feel of They Live is sort of in a lot of ways similar to the fourth Matrix that just came out, which I know a lot of people kind of crapped on and didn't like, but I thought it was really funny because it just so clearly did not take itself seriously.
Yeah.
Like it was a complete departure from the other 3 in that. And I like the other 3 as well, but it was so much of a departure where, the fourth Matrix was was it Resurrections? Yeah.
Hell if I know.
And it's like, it's just so silly and very clear that I think it was just Lana Wachowski, that I don't think Lily came back for it, but
I think you're right. Yeah.
She really did not want to make this movie, and the studio was like, there's literally a line in the movie where the studio is looking at Keanu Reeves, who designs this Matrix game, and they're like, hey, we're going to make it with or without you. And she's so clearly like making fun of it and indicting the studio. And so there's almost that kind of feel to They Live, where it's just, it doesn't take itself super seriously, but at the same time, it does effectively deliver this satirical message, right?
And I guess that's where, to take it full circle, I guess I was just like, when you watch the film and you see how simple it is. Now, again, I'm not saying that, for a film to be a great film, it just needs to be simple. That's not what I'm saying at all. but there is this charm to, hey, this is a story, guys. I don't have to think of every single tiny little, and thing and shove it all into this 90 minutes, right? And it can be kind of entertaining, and it has kind of a little bit of, it has an interesting concept, and I think it like delivers its satire effectively in that first act, primarily the first and second act. And then it kind of delivers a payoff of action, and boom. But I guess it's just, I think we have swung so far to the other side where everything is so serious and everything is so, it's like, character, like I said, I walked from the bed to the bathroom and peed, and then I'm going to make an hour-long episode out of that. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't take it. And I have a hunch. I have a hunch. Mark my words here. I'm going to have a prediction. Okay, so let's see. It's 12:35 in the afternoon on January 26th here. We're recording. But I think we're going to have like a little bit of a shift back. I think there's so much content that we're overwhelmed by it, number one. And I think the economics of it, people have found out it's not working. Netflix, HBO, Hulu, Disney, all the major studios. It's more content than anybody can watch, and they're spending millions of dollars per episode, per hour of TV, and there's just not enough eyeballs, man. There's not enough time.
There's no way to make,
there's no way to watch it.
That.
There's not enough people to watch it. And I think we might see a shift, where we come back to, maybe like more self-contained stories. And I think it would be a little bit better for the balance of storytelling to do so. But to go back to this film, it like kind of warms my heart. I mean, it's almost like, looking back on like something that you wrote when you're 12, and you're like, it's so pure and kind of naive and kind of simple, and it's just like, oh, that's like so sweet and charming. There's not a lot of complication, and but yeah, and then just to kind of take it to the end, I mean, they're shooting it out in the alien compound in the skyscraper where they're sending out the signal. And this speaks to what you were talking about, where, well, wait a minute, was like Meg Foster's character supposed to be good, bad? We do have kind of I think an interesting choice from Carpenter, where we get an answer to that question pretty darn quick.
Yes.
Without any fanfare, she just offs Frank.
Off screen.
I mean, we don't see it, but I mean, we see enough. We know what's going to happen, but just boom.
Yeah.
And then of course, Nada's character is forced to kill her. Then he takes out the satellite and he sacrifices himself to do so.
And flips the bird.
And then we have one of the funniest, like, denouements.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that little epilogue is fantastic.
That epilogue is so funny, and there's like a quick series of vignettes where, okay, the subliminal, the cover has been ripped off everybody's eyes. And so now everybody is seeing the aliens and their messaging as they really exist. And oh my God, it cracks me up. That very last vignette where the woman is having sex with the alien and now she can see it.
Yeah. And it just cuts to black. Oh,
and it just cuts. So and it's like, I mean, and here you can see it's like, it's tongue in cheek. Like, yes, Carpenter's making a statement about Reaganomics and trickle-down economy and yuppie materialistic way of viewing the world, but it's not. It's like, strangely though, it's not this cynical, heavy thing. It's honest. It's at the end of the day, it's kind of funny. Like, you get the message, but it's funny. But I just I wanted to say something. So I've got the Shout Factory Blu-ray release of this disc. And on that disc, there is a commentary track between Carpenter and Piper. And I have to say that Roddy Piper comes off as one of the sweetest guys. Now, I don't know anything about his life, but just in this hour and 90 minutes where he's talking to Carpenter, he is like so sweet and grateful for Carpenter. And he talks about how Carpenter, Roddy Piper's not an actor, right? He's a wrestler. And he kept talking about how much time Carpenter spent helping him with his performance, how much the film meant to him, how much fans loved it. It was like so endearing and sweet, you know. And he would just like constantly just compliment, like, but not in some weird cynical way. I don't mean to give that impression where he's just trying to kiss the guy's butt or something, you know, and he knows it's going to be on a Blu-ray. But like extremely genuine. And, you know, it really sounds like Piper is this guy, like in real life. Like he is Nada in real life, which of course I'm sure that's why Carpenter cast him. He knew he wouldn't need to act much, right? But just such a great fit. And it was just, I don't really have anything more to say than just, I was really taken aback by how endearing and how sweet it was when he was talking about how much Carpenter worked with him on the film. Anyway, I think if you're shooting to be a director, if you are a director, I think working towards a place where your actors think of you in the way that Piper thinks of Carpenter would be probably not a bad goal.
Yeah, it's funny because I was never much into wrestling as a kid.
Me either. Yeah.
But I remember I met from, I can't remember how I met him, but Bret Hart, who was like another wrestler. He was from
I don't know
Canada,
that I can place him exactly.
He wrestled in the I don't know if it was the WWF or WWE or what.
Got me.
But I remember meeting him, and he was like super friendly. So apparently all these wrestlers are quite nice guys. And I know that apparently what's his name? Who's the big guy?
Oh yeah, what's his name? I love what's his name.
He's like probably the most famous. He's the blonde guy.
So not The Rock, because Rock is probably the most famous wrestler ever.
He always says brother.
Oh, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, and apparently I've heard that he's pretty nice. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know about Hulk. I think he had some a lot of controversy there for a minute.
I'm sure all these guys probably. There's probably a section on all of their Wikipedias about.
But here's the thing, you know, and I just want to add this again. It's not like this is an advertisement for Rowdy Piper, and he is he has passed on. He's deceased, but it was also just that, you know, in the same way that the film feels so like charmingly naive or innocent in a way, instead of cynical, and, you know, like Piper was, I mean, it's just amazing, his commentary track, how, you know, I mean, it was just, I don't know, it was kind of just a breath of fresh air. And I think today people are so guarded, generally, they're so calculated, you know, especially anybody in public life. But I feel like all of us now have kind of gotten to this place where everything is so performative. We're on social media. We maintain images. We maintain, you know, this polished kind of thing. We don't want to be embarrassed or seem, you know, naive or innocent ourselves. And it was just like the antithesis of that. You know, it was like just really sweet. And he did talk about wrestling and talked about kind of, now I'm speaking of getting off on a tangent here, but how dangerous of a profession that is, how the high the suicide rates are in that industry, and some other things.
Destroys your body,
and destroys your body. And so he kind of talked about pulling from a lot of that in the actual role itself, which I thought was pretty darn interesting. And, you know, especially for somebody as a non-actor, I'm like, wow, those are some pretty good choices, man. That's good stuff. I can see that. So, anywho, well,
and he's got, you know what, he's got a great role on one of my favorite shows, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
You know, I haven't seen any of that, but I did hear. Now, was he like? We'll wrap up here in a second, but was he like a guest star for a couple episodes?
Yeah, he's kind of like a recurring, little.
Very cool.
He's a wrestler on there too, but it's like this funny little role that he does. So
rest
great show if you haven't seen it.
Rest in peace, Rowdy Piper. But,
died 2015. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll bring this one to a close. Add one more '80s film to our notch to our belt. I feel like the '80s have been highly represented in our movie selection. Which Quentin Tarantino says the 80s was a horrible decade for films. I love Quentin, but I seriously beg to differ. And I hope we're proving a little bit of that. But yeah, until next time, Cullen, I look forward to your selection. Everybody out there, thanks for hanging in there and listening to us debate, not really even debate, just discuss just talk about, just share some love for Carpenter's They Live. Until next time, everybody, take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.